folks, welcome to the Roadster Rumble tonight, round number 3. We are live from Road Atlanta tonight at this fantastic race circuit. Let's take you straight down to qualifying as we finish up the last part. No, in fact, we've got something special tonight. In fact, we've got the top 10 qualifiers. So the top 10 from practice are going to qualify late tonight with our lead-in kicking off in about 3 minutes' time for that top 10 shootout. So we'll take you down straight to the cars, but look at this. That's Lee Harrison on top from Henry Fenson, Wayne Losh, but I expect to see some big names drop some times in, still yet to run. We've got a Ribbon Boys who was quick in practice, Andrew Dutch and Ryan Casher all looking very quick in practice. Don't forget Brendan Hobson, we'll see him up there. Jared Phil still yet to run. Moz, Glenn, Aaron Maguire, Anthony Connors, heaps of drivers. In fact, we're going to see challenge that top 10 in this 10-minute shootout starting in a couple of minutes' time. I'm Luke, this is Race Stars TV. Hopefully you've got me nice, loud and clear, right across Twitch, YouTube and Facebook. And well, we'll go down and have a look at this circuit. It's a challenging circuit. Qualifying mode is set. We'll get rid of the music, turn up the volume of these cars. The 86s versus the MX-5s. Once again for the Roadster Rumble. This is season number 8, can you believe? And we've been with them for a while now and enjoy our Monday nights with all the action. You verse up two cars which are quite similar in effect, and iRacing's done a good job. The balance of power between these two, probably not meant to be paired together in a series, but I tell you what, credit to Greg and the team. They've done a good job. Everyone just cruising around now. Looks like most drivers have finished their lap. We'll put up some times on the board. You can just see as, oh boy, that was Aaron Maguire going for a little bit of a slip and slide there. It is Harrison on top from Fenson, Losh, Oliver and Canto, your top 5 drivers at this stage. And the direction was from race control that the top drivers would go out, or sorry, everyone would go out in practice, do their best lap time, and then the top 10 from practice would hold back to the last 10 minutes of quali. They do get 3 laps, so they'll still get all their laps in. How that plays out with track conditions and all that sort of jazz, we'll find out, because it's one of those ones that a lot of drivers tend to, with iRacing, love getting straight out on the track, smashing a lap out and having something in the bank. But this throws a little bit of pressure back onto those top 10 drivers from practice, and we'll see if they can sustain the pressure and bring home a good time. And we'll wonder with this track too. I'm just looking at the times. Harrison a 1:35.1 versus Dutch, who's currently done the quickest time in an MX-5, and Dutchy putting it through. I'm just having a quick look. And Dutch has gone through just on 9/10 off the place, 7th outright for him. The top MX-5 at the moment there is Andrew Dutch, and looking very good for the Grindtech Flora racing car. We're going to speak to a few people across tonight's telecast, and we'll have them hopefully soon now and then pop into the main room. So we'll head over now. We've got, like I said, 10 minutes of qualifying for the top drivers about to kick off shortly. And I can't wait to see what sort of times evolve from this. A 1:35.136, our top time at this stage in the race, or in the qualifying session. So live time, 8 o'clock, kicking off then. That's when we'll kick off the race, or 8:05 with this little extension to qualifying. We go to 2 races tonight, so the format hasn't changed. And then inverted top 8. That's been a little highlight for me in this season 8, seeing the inverted top 8, just to keep things, keep everyone on their toes, if nothing else. A couple of new members tonight as well. Good to see some new drivers still joining in. We've got Stephen Birchnell and also Bailey Wilson. So we'll keep an eye on how they go and see if they can't pull out a good performance in their first ever Roadster Rumble. Every Monday night, they've got a week off next week, their bye week, but I still think they're going to run an event and try a few things. Now, some of those drivers I was talking about earlier, this is a guy that's done so well throughout the first couple of rounds of this series, and Ryan Casher, we've been hooning Toyota 86, really leaping over the curbs there. He's about to start his first flying lap. So we'll keep an eye on him. Brendan Hobson's out on the track as well, as his livery appears on the car. And also having a quick look for Glenn Boyd, who had a rough trot through the field last week, ended up getting a pretty good position in the end after, I'm not sure what happened in qualifying, but did work his way back up to get some pretty reasonable points. Jack Boyd also out there now starting his first qualifying lap. Let's run on board with young Jack, see how he goes pushing a lap here at this Road Atlanta circuit. Turn 1, you can hear him back off, shifts down a gear, try and just clip the apex up the hill. One of the hardest corners, I think, in motorsport. You just got to veer to the left, then pick the apex to the right here. It's completely blind as you turn in. Kisses it nicely. Don't run wide there. Your lap will be invalid if you do run off the track over that exit curve. Then down through the S's and flat. Chatty's holding it to the boards. You can hear it revving 4th gear right on the limit. Tucks it through there. You can take a lot of exit curb, bottom of the hill, and now we head down towards this scoop around, which brings us back down to that long back straight where we're going to see stacks of overtaking, and it's a highlight always of this series, the old overtaking. We see plenty of it, and pretty decent through there. A bit of opposite lock as he tries to correct the car. Got a little bit loose on exit, which might just hurt his lap time slightly, so keep an eye on this man, Jack Boyd. And I did notice a couple of purple sectors for Hobbo as it flicked up on the screen. He goes P2. So Hobson, 67 thousandths outside the pace. Jared Hughes is on an absolute ripper as well. We'll keep an eye on him. He's in a similar place on the track, in fact, to Jack Boyd. It is low in qualifying, so they do get the tracks to themselves, these drivers. So we just see as Jared comes around, the old Delco car up over the final crest. Ryan Cash has gone purple, sector 3. What can he do? Crosses the line now. Casher to put in a time as we watch Hughes cross, and Casher goes to the top on a 34. Hughes goes second, Boyd third, 0.2 of a second covering the top 3. Pretty decent times there. Ben Snell coming to the line now as well. What's he going to do? Currently sitting outside the 38. A big grid of cars once again tonight, and he'll cross the line to go 6th outright for nearly 5/10 off the top time. So pretty decent there from Snell. Still waiting on Jared Philsell. Here he is, the Wave Runner Performance SSR car, Lobs Falcon Racing. Here he goes through the last couple of corners sector wise. Just having a quick look now to see if he's been lighting up the timing boards. Looking pretty good. He's going to go around and start a lap here, so his outlap's pretty decent. Hobson is going again by the looks of things. They do get the 3 laps to try and piece something together. And Philsell now on a charge. We'll watch this lap as Casher goes quicker again, sector 2. He is looking decent. If you're watching tonight, say g'day on the chat. We've got Graham Ellis in the house, Mark Foster as well, and Bard Rodkin. Hello to everyone that's tuning in over on Facebook, over on YouTube. We've got Anzac Kid saying cheering for Canto, and Julian Molino as well saying hello. So hello to you. We'll get a bit of Canto up on the screen once we get through this quali session, but we're watching Jared Philsell right now on your screens. He is flying, and what can he do in this qualifying? Obviously trying to smash out this first lap, bank something. He might get a shot at probably another lap after this. I tell you what, Jack Boyd is on a roll as well. Boyd's just put a purple sector 1 and 3. Philsell was clean through there, through the bottom of the hill. Casher goes quicker than 134. Boyd goes to the top of 134.5, I think it was. So Jack Boyd on fire, takes provisional pole, but I'm watching this lap from Jared Philsell. He's gone green first sector, purple, best of anyone through the second sector. Comes down towards us now. What will he do through this tricky little braking zone into the left-right flip-flop? And Jared Philsell, using all that experience, goes green sector 3, so not purple. This is where he's got to be neat and tidy up over the crest of the hill. And can he put this on pole position? Still 4 minutes to go, and Jack Boyd, Casher and Hughes all with one more lap up their sleeve. And they are going again, so rolling down towards the end of this quali session and crossing the line. Philsell, where does he go with that lap? P3, 2.5 off the pace. So Philsell doesn't go to pole, but he's still warming up. Jack Boyd holds pole at this moment, and I bring in Greg for a chat. Anthony Connors joins us as well. Hello boys, welcome to the broadcast, and this is heating up to a pretty exciting end of qualifying.
Afternoon, Luke, how are you?
Very, very well, and mate, look at this. We've got this, what I call a top 10 shootout, but we've got about, what is it? Is it 10 cars out there? There's a few more, I think.
Yeah, it takes a little while to explain to people, Luke. Apologies for that.
That's all right. Hey, mate, it's exciting, though, because we've come in live. We've seen the end of the everyone qualifying, but now the top 10 with the track to themselves are just sorting out this final order. Boyd at the moment, 95 thousandths of a second quicker than Casher. Ryan Casher, mate, this is the 3rd round in a row. He's shown some qualifying glory. He is quick as Boyd increases his lead over that pole position to 61 thousandths of a second now. What can Philsell do on this final lap? Will he stick it on pole? What do you boys reckon? Let's take a vote.
Oh, it's going to be close. It's going to be very close there, Luke.
He's done a purple second sector here, Jared Filsell. Just watching him now down towards this important braking zone. The 86 looking pretty hooked up around this place. Greg, what's the feedback been?
Yeah, some of the boys are saying it's really touchy on the curbs tonight, so it'll be interesting to see how some of the mid-pack boys. It's got a lot of bounce apparently off the curbs, so hoping that everybody can stay on track tonight.
Filsell crosses the line on his third lap, and what does he do with that one? He goes to P2, 28 thousandths of a second, covering the top two, 61 thousandths of a second, the top three. We have got a fight on tonight in this race as the sun comes out. One of the things I love about this, making the top drivers leave it to the end, they get different track conditions with that weather. You can see the sun poke out, and well, that's heated things up. So Jack Boyd, by 28 thousandths of a second, has put this on pole position. Incredible. And we're just still seeing Glenn out there, Ben Snell as well, trying to piece something together. Time's running out, 2 minutes.
Yep. Where did Hobbo land? Luke?
So Hobbo's P4. In fact, I'm just looking at the timing screen here. Filsell, I think, may have 1 lap to go in this run. We're watching him now. Everyone else is parked up. He's just gone green and purple. I think this might be a classic Filsell. Do it on the third of 3 laps here and go to pole. So far looking pretty good. But Boyd first, Filsell second, Casher, then Hobson. Then it's Jared Hughes. Moz has put it into 6th. Great job by him. Lee Harrison as well. Ben Snell, Fenson and Losh, your top 10. Of course, all Toyota 86s, our first and top MX-5s. Andrew Dutch down in 17th place, so he's done well.
Yes, Dutchy's well and truly giving us a lesson again in how to drive the Mazda.
He is. He's a fair way off Tyson Gordon, P2 in class, but we watched this end of qualifying with a minute and a half to go. Filsell on his third of 3 laps comes down around that final corner. You get a fair bit of drift through here usually, and he crosses the line. Does he go better? He does. He goes to the top of 1:34.3. So by just over a tenth of a second, Jared Filsell will sit on pole position for this first of 2 races tonight from Jack Boyd. Cash at P3. Hobson off the second row out of P4 will be a great start. We look down to Andrew Dutch in P17 outright, but that's first in class. His next best competitor is Tyson Gordon down in 23rd, and then Brody Cook 24th. So he'll start with 5 86s between him and the next MX-5. That's a pretty decent cushion to have off the start, Greg.
It's going to make it very interesting because the Mazda actually has good top end speed down the long straight, and if you can get a toe behind the 86s, it is possible to slingshot them at the end of the long straight. So interesting first couple of laps coming up. Just a shout out to Hobbo tonight too, Luke. He had a school thing that he had to attend to, but he did promise to do all purple sectors on the way back from that to make it in time, so he's done well.
He has done well. Very good. Right, well, that's the end of qualifying, and we're going to get set now to go down to the grid for race number 1. Good luck, boys, and see you on the other side.
Yes, so I'll hang around. I'll try and commentate, but this track is going to be a handful. Anthony's not racing, so he'll be free.
Anthony's kicking with us. Excellent. Right, let's go through the grid shortly as we start to grid up for heat number 1. Jared Filsell, like I said, pole position. This is your grid order for race 1. Filsell starts on the front row. Jack Boyd, P2. Casher alongside and Hobson off the second row. There's Hughes, Moroz, Harrison and Snell, your top 8. Henry Fenson's done well to sneak into the top 9 there with Loshi alongside him in P10. Then it's Mel and Oliver, your top 12 over the page. 13th on the grid, Dylan Canto, great qualifying there from him. Seeger next to him. Then it's Cody Harrison, Glenn Boyd, Dutchy, the first of the MX-5s, Matty T, and then Bloxham down in 19th place, and Cameron Edwards rounds out your top 20 on the grid. 21st, Keith Logan, and then it's Mark Foster, Tyson Gordon, the second place of our MX-5s out of 23rd, Brody Cook alongside him. Further back from there, we've got Ray Harrison, Linus Carriage, and Greg Holmes, 28th on the grid. Then it's Johnny Thorne, Scott Baker rounding out the top 30. As the grid flashes on, we're going to go down and get ready for a start. Turn 1 will be absolutely crucial here for all drivers to try and sneak through without incident. Let's get rid of the music. Let's turn up the noise. You can see they snake all the way up the hill here at Road Atlanta, and that turn 1 heading up the hill will be blind. I'm expecting to see a couple of spinners. Anthony, what do you think? Are we going to get through the top of the hill clean? It's one, I reckon, I said in the intro, one of the hardest corners in sim racing, in motorsport in general.
It is, Luke. It is. It's very, very tight. And it's only single file. You can't go too wide through there at all. But I noticed the Mazda when we trialled it out last night. It's very first 2 laps, mate. It's touch and go. It's sliding around a fair bit, and until you get a bit of tyre temp, and then it's all right to drive. But yeah, the first couple of laps, it's touch and go.
That first run up the hill as well, there is an escape road off to your left. I think we might see a few drivers choose to use that, but they'll have to slot in carefully back into position. They don't want to gain an advantage. But let's get set to go racing. We're just seeing the drivers now. The revs rise here for round number 3 of the Roadster Rumble, live from Road Atlanta. Watch that front row get away. Jared Philsell usually pretty quick off the line. Gets away well. A little bit of wheel spin. Second row with Kasha was very good. Got away with no wheel spin at all. The rest of the field streams through. We flick over to see them run now down towards turn 1. What a field of cars. Massive field of cars. Keith Logan, I think, dropped a few positions. So did Loshi, I think, off the start. Heading up the hill for the first time. It's all field cell from Kasha, who's got ahead of Jack Boyd. Hobson still in 4th. Hughes holding on. Over the crest we go. And now the big run down the hill, looking good so far as they gain speed. This big snake of cars. I'm looking back to the top of the picture. So far, so good. 2 by 2. The back runners, they're not scared to go side by side. But that is a clean start to this race. And I don't know if Greg's still listening in or if he's just trying his best to keep this thing on the track. But testament to him. This thing is one of the cleanest races we'll ever see, one of the cleanest series we'll ever see, and that is a beautiful first half a lap. What do you reckon, Greg?
I survived. It's very hectic out here, I can tell you, but so far so good.
Yeah, we're just watching Phil, so try and push away. Kasha straight away was on his bumper bar at the start of this race, so they're not shy about this bump drafting, and Jack Boyd's hooked up as well, the top 3. Trying to pull away a little bit in the background. You can just see Wayne Losh made up a position. Aaron Oliver also made up a couple of positions. So did Canto. The ones that lost out at the start was Henry Fenson, lost 3 spots. Andrew Dutch, I tell you what, he qualified well. He made 2 positions up off the start. And so did Brody Cook, 6 spots up in the MX5 to be 18th outright, second in class. He's moving along nicely as well. But crossing the line to lead us through on this lap 1. Jared Philsell in control, Kasha on his tail, Jack Boyd in 3rd place, followed then by Hughes and Hobbo, who raced home tonight. He's going to get a couple of speeding tickets in the mail, but it was worth it to get here for the Roadster Rumble. Anthony, what are you watching, mate? Have you got a different screen going? You're watching a bit of action?
I've got 2. You've got your broadcast up, mate, and I've got I'm actually in the session as well. I was trying to get on tonight, but yeah, my computer's completely died, so I might be out for a little bit at the moment. So, oh, there's one off the road there.
Yeah, it's Fenson. It's Fenson.
Fenson, yeah.
Fenson's backwards. In fact, he's hit the wall. The front of that car is all crumpled up. So he's had a big incident somewhere. We'll try and pick him up on a camera here. He's back to the pits, so that's why we couldn't pick him up. He's ejected out of there. So it's sad for Fenson.
Might be a little bit too much curb there. They were talking about the 86 doesn't like the curbs.
He qualified well, Fenson, and to see himself drop out on the opening couple of laps will be sad for him as we watch Jared Hughes, P4, trying to put a bit of pressure here on Jack Boyd. And I tell you what, last season it was the Jack Boyd-Hobson show. You just saw them disappear into the distance. This time it's Jack Boyd 3rd, Hobson back in 5th. They've got some real competition. This has really spiced up at the front. Philsell, Kasha, Jared Hughes joining the party, and Mos Moroz has stepped up as well. He's currently 6th, holding position from where he started. The DC Racing entry there in the 767. We just watch him go through the S's at the end of the lap, and he is driving beautifully again tonight. So they're stepping up, and we've got Anthony Connors, like I said, in the commentary box tonight. Greg Holmes out there driving, steering, whilst chatting. But look at this fight now. Lee Harrison all over the back of Moz, and I think he's going to get him down to turn 1.
We could have a camera on Greg Holmes. I reckon it'd be all arms and legs tonight. All arms and legs everywhere.
Yeah, he's working hard tonight. He's up 3 spots, so give him some credit. He's in 25th now, running 6th in class. So we do have, just a reminder, we've got 2 classes out on the racetrack. We've got the 86s and the MX5s all doing business together tonight. 2 races, 30-minute race, so 30 laps won't really come into contention. We're looking at about a 1.5-minute lap time here, so we're going to get through a quick calculation, about 17 laps, I would say, in this race. So 1 fuel stop is required as well, a bit of strategy involved, and I love that about this series. It's going to be, well, we saw a couple of drivers last week try something different, throw it in the pit lane, see if they could get some advantage. It didn't really work out. What's your thoughts on fuel strategy, Anthony? Run it as long as you can?
I reckon track's position, you're not going to get too much of a draft. The Mazdas will get a bit of a draft in the back straight, but you probably want a bit of clean air, I think. Just because it's such short track and it's tight and twisty, you don't really want someone to go side by side through the S's, or you want a bit of clean room. So I'll be trying to pick someone and just run with me and someone else, like the teammate Jesse, every now and then. That's why we stick together and work on each other, and then you've got a bit of clean air. But, well, yeah, so far so good. I haven't really seen too much.
Some good moves going on. Brody Cook's moved up another couple of positions. He's now in 17th outright. He goes straight into the pit lane, so trying something a little bit different. Tyson Gordon's in a real battle here. 3 or 4 cars. Mark Foster's in there. A couple of shout-outs coming across from YouTube as well. Adam St. John tonight, sideline, but watching from the couch. Nice to have you watching. Steve Kennedy as well, saying great to be able to watch tonight, even if unable to make the race. Good luck to all, and good to see Stephen watching along. And Henry Fenson, his one comment was jinxed it, so he's feeling a bit down and out, I think, after that second lap incident that took him out of the race. But Hobson, quickest lap of the race now, he is turning it on. He's just done a 1:34.5 as he sits in the tow of Jack Boyd, looking pretty healthy here, staying with the lead pack, which is 1.4 seconds covering the top 5. Decent.
It's close, mate. It's close. They drive well up the front there. Just go back and watch your broadcast after you race it on a Monday night and watch it, and it's all respectful. Like they still bang doors, but they get the job done. And
yeah, they do. We're watching that gap between, I think it's between 7th Moz and then Aaron Oliver as a car goes sideways in the background there. Pretty decent. It's starting to break out a bit, and Ryan Casher has pushed to the lead. Phil Sell goes back to 3rd. So on the lap, there was a bit of overtaking being done, and I know Jared spoke about this last week of just hanging back a bit. Sometimes it's not best to lead this race because you're pushing the hole through the air and you're making everyone else have an easy ride to the flag. So Phil Sell maybe just let out of the throttle slightly, goes back to 3rd, and he's going to let Ryan Casher lead for a while, and he can use his fuel and push his economy out the window. But it's still Casher, Hughes, Phil Sell, and Dutchy's in the pits. So we're watching Wayne Losh and Andrew Dutch have gone in early here, as Julian Molina says, yo, 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 good to have you in the house, man. Don't forget, we've got a new YouTube channel as well, so if you're new to watching us here, Racers TV, or if you're on Facebook, head across to YouTube. It's just RSTVAU is our handle, so go and find RSTVAU. And that's where we're going to be, and hopefully stay for the rest of our eternity. So, Greg, how you doing, mate? We better check in with a man who puts this series together, does a heck of a lot of work. I'm trying to find where he is. How you going, mate? You're in 21st place, up 7.
Yeah, I've sticking with Jesse and the boys. We've got a couple of old Keithy in the 86 is struggling a little bit, I think. It's and then we've got a bit of a train with a couple of 86s and a few Mazdas. I'm actually going to break the golden rule, and I'm going to hit this time in because as much as I love the guy, I've got John Thorne behind me.
He's moving around too. He saw the back of his car dancing like a little ballerina there.
Yeah, he's had a look a couple of times, and it's absolutely frightened me. So I think I'll break with tradition and maybe pit this lap and just try and get myself out of this.
Well, we were speaking last week, as you do that huge braking zone there. We were speaking about how running behind the 86 actually does help you those, as far as getting a draft. But like you said, John Thorne, really pushing hard. Fancy him following him into the pits, so that will be interesting.
Oh, you're kidding me.
So Thorny's gone in behind Holmes here, and Keith Logan's gone in as well in the Southern Cross racing car. So they're all thinking alike. Maybe he's listening to the broadcast, mate. He's got the inside info there.
I need a new spotter, Luke.
Right, and now check this out. The front, Ryan Casher is starting to catch some lapped traffic. So this could play into, well, it could be a little bit dicey at times. We do see these quicker drivers coming through the field. Sometimes have to wake him up. He gets out of the way nicely, the lap car. And Hughes goes through as well. Phil Sell also finding his way through. It's busy there. There's 7 or so Toyota 86s just trying to find their way past that MX-5. And look at Jared Hughes now, pushing the back of Ryan Casher. This is decent. He has not eased up at all. He's pushing him along like you would see in a couple of well, stock cars out on the Thunderdome. These, they're not worried about rubbing a bit of paint, are they?
No, not at all. They're right into it, especially pushing it straight down. And they're still close, even through the corners. Like, there's nothing between all of them. But it'd be interesting to see who peels off first the pit.
Well, we've seen most races so far this season. They go to about that halfway point, that 15, 16, 17 minute mark, and then they come in from the front. I wonder if someone like Phil Sell, we know he's got pace in that car. Well, he'll try something different here. You can sit behind these guys, but there is an element of danger if you've got two guys battling this hard, rubbing in panels, and there's a chance they might turn each other around, and you can get easily involved in someone else's crashes. Wow, Kasha just leaped over the curb there in the lead of this race, and we've got a spinner. I think it's Cuthbertson has hit the MX-5 into the fence, and that is a big damage for the 289. He's going to have to limp that one back to the pits. So Stone Cold Racing, he's hit the Stone Cold fence there.
That pit entry is pretty exciting too, so it'd be good to watch him go into that pit entry with that big curve and tight lane heading in. So
well, you've got to commit to it, don't you, Anthony? It's one of those ones you've got to commit to, and you come over the crest of the hill completely blind. And I've seen some huge accidents, in fact, with the pit entry at this place.
Exactly, yeah. You can't see anything. You come straight out of that crest, and then you got to try to navigate. Like you got to try to find pit entry, or you even got to find the road, taking turn at the last turn. You can't see it until the last minute, and then you got the choice. If you're too wide, you mightn't stay on the road. You might go bush.
Yep. We're watching Kasha here, still leading the race. We'll watch him come through. We'll put the ticker up the top for anyone that's interested in where their favourite drivers are, but so far, neither of these two at the front decide to pit early. They all stay out. We'll go back further to Cody Harrison, and the Pro Karts Race Centre car is sitting in 14th place. Now, he's in a battle here with Bloxham, who's we've been hooning 86 as well. Then you've got Matty T, who's just punched it into the pits, has he? No, it was Harrison who went to the pits. Neville Mel's also gone into the pit lane. Matty T stayed out. What happened to Cody Harrison there? He's disconnected, I think. He's disappeared off the timing screen and started rolling down the timing tower, which generally means he's had a disconnection, sadly.
Internet issues.
Yeah, it's one of the parts of sim racing. If you haven't got a good internet, sometimes can give you some worries, but yeah, unfortunate because he was right in the middle of that battle. Quick look at the MX-5s. Jesse Carriage now holds the class lead for the MX-5s, up 13 spots into 14th. A little bit of that is over-exaggerated by the fact a lot of drivers have pitted around him. I'll tell you what, you could just see Cameron Edwards in the 86 behind the MX-5. The way it leaped and bounced across the curb heading into the corner there, it's definitely stiff in the front end. And that might be what they're talking about, these cars being very rigid, bouncing off the curves tonight. That's the first real indication that I've seen of it. But it definitely bounced across the front end, lost traction, and skipped like a skipping rock across the track there.
I don't know if Jesse's pitted yet, but
no, it's showing no pit.
Yeah,
Definitely no pit. The first MX-5 that has stopped is Andrew Dutch down in 25th outright, 5th in class, and he's sitting nice. There he is. Currently should leapfrog back to the top of class once everyone else around him stops. As we look to the top driver that has pit in the 86 series, it's Neville Mel. So he's currently running 21st, down 10 spots, but took on 11.7 seconds worth of fuel in that stop, as we see Philip Paradiso, I think, going a little bit slowly there in the purple car, letting Neville go through. So obviously not picking any fights with the Valvoline car. So yeah, good. You've got to pick your battles in this series, and that was some pretty safe and secure driving there. We've got Henry Fenson standing by us. Let's bring him in. Henry, one of those races, mate. We saw you qualified really well. You were really proud of that qualifying effort, and good on you. It was a great job. But then the bad luck just sprung up in the race.
Yeah, got a bit too keen trying to look for a chance on Dylan, and a bit so blind coming up over that hill. I just completely missed my mark and hit that curb and couldn't save it after that.
Mate, you're going to sit this one out, but you'll be back for the final race. What are the conditions like out there racing tonight? Obviously, you know, you got to pick your move. Lap 2 of the race, it sucks when you put all that effort in and then you find yourself in the pit lane. And then I think, to put salt on the wounds, did you spin on the exit of the pits as well?
As I was pulling out, my wheels sort of wigged out for a bit and I drove straight to the fence and flipped.
Not good, man. But obviously you still got race 2.
Yeah, I'll just reset my wheels so everything will be good. I'll try and move forward and make as many points as I can, but use a bit more patience this time.
That's the hardest thing, isn't it? Just to know when to throw it, or make the move, or not. And especially at a racetrack like this, I reckon turn 1 you really can't go too wide. Up the hill you can't go too wide. If you try and go through the blind right-hander into the flip down the S's, once again it just doesn't work. I'm actually surprised, Henry, we haven't seen more cars in the fence.
Yeah, I thought I wasn't going to be the only one, but as I've been watching the stream back, everyone's been doing really well, leaving plenty of room and racing really well. So good to see. This league is always good fun to race in. Everyone's really awesome. And it just shows in the broadcast.
Mate, it is right down. Even here we are, 25th place. Looking at Mark Foster, he's in a battle here with Andrew Dutch. And yeah, you look right down the order, find these little battles. And as a driver, I mean, it doesn't matter. You can become in 32nd here like Stephen Birchnell, who I think, is he one of the newbies? And he's racing here with Dave Goggle and having an absolute blast of a time.
Yeah, it's awesome. Even if you're having a bad night, you'll come back out on the track and you'll have someone you can race with and run around with, keeps you from being bored.
Yeah, and Greg Stephen here, who's on the screen, so brand new to the series, first race, he's made 3 positions up, looks pretty clean, there's not a dent on the car, and that's what you want, isn't it? He's obviously seen the series, he's wanted to join it, and here he is having a blast.
Yeah, Stephen raced with us in the GT4 league that we ran late last year, and yeah, he's one of those guys that is very polite, and he's actually quite quick. So I think it'll take him a week or 2 to get used to the field, but I expect him to be further up once he gets used to the 86.
Yeah, he's up 4 spots now. He has had his pit stop too, so I'd expect to see him leapfrog a few more once the top end of this field starts to come in and make their stops. But yeah, looking good. Anthony, you seeing anything out there on your screen that's worth noting at this stage?
I think just the Cash has pulled away a little bit out the front there. He's got a little bit of a gap, but there's still four or five lined up behind that with Jack Boyd and all that amongst that in a group. But yeah, Cash has pulled away a little bit out the front there.
Just notice that 2 seconds, so he has bolted. Hughes still holding on to 2nd place, and Phil Sell, I think, strategically just sitting in behind. Now he does pull out of the toe though and moves forward. Now that may indicate that it's pit stop time for Phil Sell. He wants to be in front heading into the pit lane.
Yeah, by the looks of it. So we've got just a bit over 10 minutes to go by the looks.
Yeah, we're at 17:16, so we've got 12 to go. Down the inside, Hughes with a big dive on Phil Sell. Phil Sell right up on the curb and sideways to boot. We're 3 wide as we head up the hill. And I think Phil Sell's going to try and peel to the pit lane here. He'll have the correct line to go in, and he does. So Hughes stays out. Phil Sell, Boyd, Hobson, Harrison all into the pit lane. And I think Moz will stay out as well. That was a little bit hairy though coming up the hill, wasn't it?
It was. I think Moz had a little bit of a slide there through the S's in that last lap, what I just caught a glimpse of. But yeah, I think Moz had a bit of a slide.
Now Cash are looking good. 2-second advantage. Yet to pit, so he will see on his relative, obviously, the big names behind him disappearing and going into the lane. You'd think, you'd probably just come in next lap, try and cover them off, yeah?
Yeah, you'd have to. You have to just try to cover it. Like unless he's got a bit of clean air there, you might do another one. But I'll be trying to get in to get my pit stop done, so you didn't lose too much.
Geez, looking good.
Even that little stop in the pits, let your tyres cool down a bit and get back out. Like even that little run into the pits will cool them down a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. We'll have a quick look at Bard Rodkin, who's sitting back here in 37th place, up a couple of positions. But Emily's watching tonight, says good luck, Bard. And all paint looks great with your new sponsor featured. So let's try and do a bit of a zoomy zoom here and give him a bit of close-up airtime with the new sponsor on the car. It's a nice matte black finish on that car. What is it? VP. Let me try and read that sponsor.
VPW.
VPW. There you go. Looks great. Proflow on the side as well. So Bard out there, and good to see that he's brought a few spectators along too tonight watching over on Facebook. So hello to everyone tuning in. And Bard currently up 2 spots in 37th place. Let's go back to the top because we got our top drivers coming into the lane. Cash is in, Hughes is in as well. Moz continues, and so does Bloxham. So Bloxham P4 up 15 spots now. I tell you what, from not so qualifying glory to a top 10 position might be on the cards as he comes into the pits too. So it's Moz Moroz leading this race at the 19.5 minute mark. Can he go on to win it?
Going to be tight there. There's going to be a tight finish there, I think, Luke. They're all, after 20 minutes, they're all still neck and neck. Like, there's no room between them.
The one I'm watching is Casher. He comes out of the lane. I want to see how far ahead of his competitors because it was Phil Cell. It's just coming around turn 1 now. So the gap was 2 seconds prior to the pit stop. It's just on 2.3 now. So Ryan Casher, if you had to put a bet down, you would probably stick a couple of bucks on this bloke right now to win this race with just on 10 to go. You can see the gap as I flick back through the cameras. There is Jared Philcell. But, I mean, the pressure, though, it doesn't matter who you are in P1 of this race. If you got the name Jared Philcell and the relative behind you, if you even see that number come down by a couple of hundredths of a second, you start shaking in your boots.
He's driving the wheels off. He's chucking it through them S's down there, on 2 wheels all the way through. He's just throwing it in there.
He's pushing so hard. Back further, John Thorne is in a fight here with Cameron Edwards. Cameron Edwards also with Tyson Gordon. This is for 21st position in the MX-5s. Pushing hard. It's still a lead for Andrew Dutch, though, who the Grindtech floor racing car, 15th outright, looking good for a top 15 in that car, possibly even one more position up the road. So, gee, he's driving well. This is the MX-5 class leader, and Brody Cook as well, up 6 spots, running P2 in class. Further back, Greg Holmes, 25th. Are you still with us, Greg? How you feeling out there, man?
I had to let John Thorne through. He just thought that bump drafting down the straight would be a good idea. We got away with it the first time, but I let him go because I'm on 0x at the moment.
No, that's what you want.
I'd prefer to just take the 5 points.
Yeah, that's it. It's a good little bonus you get. Hey, by the way, Jared Philso just did a 1 minute 33.9, so the first driver we've seen into the 33s. He's got the bit between his teeth, a 1.1 second margin now between first and second. He is chasing him down. This is where I need the Jaws music, the dun-dun to be playing in the background. But Jack Boyd hanging on as well. Now inverted top 8. If they finish like this, it'll put Neville Meal on the pole position. Now we know Neville's got a bit of speed. He might just get himself a really good result in race 2, starting off pole if it stays how it is right now in 8 minutes' time.
Oh, no.
Well, that doesn't sound too good.
Oh, man, there's only one, and I don't want to sound cruel, but there's only one guy I don't really want to come across on track.
We're looking at Scott Baker right now, Southern Cross Racing, Greg Holmes behind him. You guys are in a bit of a fight here. What's going on?
Scotty's quick when he gets a tow, but when he's got to produce a lap time, he sometimes struggles, and I'm just very concerned. But I might even just back it off a little bit and...
No, go for gold.
You reckon I should...
Go for gold. That's what we're here to see. Big efforts, Greg. Come on, send it. You've just dropped back now over a tenth, 1.1 seconds in fact back. You've got to find a bit of time now in this next lap.
Yeah, I'm struggling to get the car turned tonight.
Just watching John Thorne too, who's with Tyson Gordon here. Now you let John through not long ago. He's already pulled a margin. He's flying, and I think he's under attack here, is he? Or is he attacking Tyson Gordon? No, so
he's
Tyson
attacking Tyson.
Yeah, no, Tyson Gordon's just gone past and late on the brakes. Darren Linus, the Frog Elite racing car, was as late as you can be. Arrived on the scene all sideways, but got it stopped. I love the side of his car. It's got a warranty voided sticker on it. I don't mind that, bit of humour. It's good.
He went through all his P plates and L plates and all that in the first few seasons, so he's working his way up.
And hey, Jared,
might be an open class driver by now.
I reckon Jared Filso leads the race, so I'm not sure if Ryan's had a moment there, but things have tightened up at the top. And I wonder if Ryan maybe, as I look at the fuel numbers, just didn't want to lead this last 6 minutes of racing, wanted to just sit behind and save some numbers, save some fuel, because He did put on more than Jack Boyd and Phil Sell, with the 7.7 for Phil Sell, 8.7 for Kasha, and Jack with 7.8. So he did take a little bit more fuel on board, but he did also pit later. So it's one of those things that will come out in the wash in about 4 laps time. But Phil Sell definitely now holding his own with a 2/10 of a second margin. Kasha, then Boyd, who's dropped back a little bit. Hughes on his tail in that gaggle of cars. It's Lee Harrison and Ben Snell running 7th in class. Mill, and then you've got Blocks and Seeger around at the top 10. New livery tonight for Damien Seeger too. It looks good, the WBT car. Got some patterns on that car, that looks great.
That's Loshie's latest offering for him and Damo.
Looks very nice. If you zoom in, you can see there's a fair bit of detail. Quite often it goes unnoticed if you don't actually get nice and close to the cars, which I tend to try and do, just to bring out the painter's delight. And a lot of work goes into making these cars shine in the sunshine, which we've just got now, and that's what I love. Adam's enjoying it. Adam St. John says, great viewing, Luke. Mate, it's good. We've got some decent people in chatting as well. Henry's still with us. Henry, mate, what's the plan now? You got 4 minutes to get yourself ready, then a 10-minute warm-up. Are you going to be one of those drivers that gets out in the warm-up and does a few laps? Because you've been sitting out now for about, what, 25 minutes?
Yeah, it's starting to get a bit cold actually, so I'll definitely have to go out and do a few laps. Get myself back in a rhythm and work on a bit of getting out of that, whichever turn that is, onto the long straight, because that seems to be my weakness and I'm unable to get next to anyone in that tow, so might try and figure that out so I can make some easy passes this race.
Well, you're going to have a big, challenge set for yourself, starting off the back of the grid. You might be able to make up, 15 spots? What sort of goal or target do you set yourself?
It'd be nice to make top 20 to get through half a field, but that's always a big ask. I've got to hope for a bit of luck on my side. Might try and pit early and get out of the traffic and see what I can do in clean air. Seems to be better for me. Give some qualifying laps.
Could you pit on lap 1 and then go the rest of the race? Is that possible?
I got to wait till the end of lap 2.
Okay. All right,
so yeah, I'll go straight in there.
Yep, and then you've just run it out and see what you can, pick up on the racetrack, but also in the pit lane.
Yeah, just go off my delta and try and run the best laps I can.
Oh, very good, mate. We'll get yourself ready for that. We're looking Scotty Baker here, Darren Linus as well. Behind them, Karen Edwards. This little battle's been going on and on and on. The MX5 class heating up at this man on the screen now, Andrew Dutch. Once again in a class of his own. He's got a gap of 10 seconds over Brodie Cook, P2, in this Class B. So really, really good driving by the Grind Tech flooring racing car once again. So he's looking like he should take a win here. What's happened to Neville? He's off the track and he's gone for a moment down there and comes back on with a bit of front right-hand corner damage on that 86. So he's hit the fence or he's hit another car there and drops way outside the top 10 now, 16th, 17th, and dropping down the field. So that's really unfortunate.
No, I'm still stuck on that Mazda, but it looks like Darren Linus just went flying off through the track there. Can you confirm that? Oh, and there's another one gone there, Greg. You're grabbing positions here like no tomorrow. Oh.
That was the plan. It's probably one of the benefits of running a league like this, Luke. You get to know most drivers, and
yep.
Yeah, that was a real mix for anything can happen.
Yeah.
So I've saved a bit of fuel, so I'm good to the end now. So I'll go boots and all from here on in.
Looking good, mate. We're just looking at the top drives once again with a lap and a bit to go. It's Jared Filso, 1.2 seconds. Looks like he's out the window now and he'll be gone. He's flying home. Jack Boyd just sitting in the distance there. I wonder if he's got any sort of challenge for Kasha at the end. Ryan sitting P2. Jack Boyd's the one that's lost out of position in this race. Started second on the grid. Ends up in third.
Well, Lockie Bloxwell, he's moved up a fair bit. He's up a fair bit. He's up at
11, yeah. No, 11
spots. Sorry, math's not the best, mate.
It's all right. He's the best mover and shaker, that's for sure, in the top 20. And Aaron Maguire and Scotty Baker are the next two. Aaron down in 27th has made up 11 and Baker's made up 10 in 20th. So you're right, Lockie, he's killing it, isn't he? Good looking car as well.
Yes, it is.
He'll be one to watch out. So if he P8 at this stage, he'll probably know this as well. With an inverted top 8, he'll be starting off pole position if he finishes where he is now.
He's put himself in a perfect position.
Looking at Hobson now, back in 4th place under all sorts of pressure from Jared Hughes. We're on the final lap of the race. Or are we? I think yes, we are on the final lap of the race. White flag has dropped. So it's going to be Phil Sell. I don't think challenged for this win. It's a 1.3 second margin, but the all stakes are on here for Hobson and Hughes. Harris has been watching as well. We've got an MX5 right there, and there's contact. Hobson makes contact, and I think Harrison exited stage right into the fence and has lost out big time. And wow, he's just got to get the car going again here. He's still in P6. He needs to stay there for this invert. So he's got big damage on the car, and unfortunately, that would have given an X to Hobbo as well. We know how much Hobbo loves his clean race car and the 0Xs. I reckon he picked up 4 for that one.
That was very close. That was very close.
That was just a lap car, wasn't it? Spinning or getting in the way. Hobson made slight contact, and then checking up. Jared has just gone backwards.
No, it looks like the Mazda was holding his line. He just checked them all up a little bit, and I don't think he was ready for it.
That's right. Coming down across the line, take a win in race number 1 here. It will be Jared Fieldcell from the front to the front. First right through. Casher gets 2nd, and Boydie gets 3rd, and then it will be Hobbo. Comes home to take P4 in race 1, followed by Lee Harrison and Jared Hughes coming home in 6th place. He goes with side by side with the MX5 down a lap. They cross the line together. Then Lockie Bloxham will take out 7th place. Like you said, a big move and shake through the field to go from 19th, I think it is, up to 7th place. So really good run for him in race 1. He'll start P2 in race 2, and Damien Siegel will round out the top 8. So good job. Damien will be on pole in the WBT racing car on pole position. Aaron Oliver gets 9th, and Matty T rounds out your top 10. It's a decent race there. We're just waiting now as Andrew Dutch crosses the line 13th outright in the MX5, top of class, and Brody Cook to come across the line P2 in class will take 16th outright, and it's going to be Jesse Carriage who gets 19th place outright, but most importantly 3rd in class, as he has driven a great race as well. So race 1 run and done. Time for a quick break. We'll get some results up shortly as well, but Greg, another ripper of a race, man.
Thanks, Luke. That was fun. I think.
Hopefully we get to talk to a couple of the drivers in this break. You've got 10 minutes. So
yep, I'll go and drag a few over for you. So
yeah, cool. A lot of them will want to have their quick bathroom break. It's
Yep.
it's a night of racing, but you've also got to keep your fluids up, get your bathrooms in check, and you've got another half-hour race coming up very, very soon after this warm-up period. So let's bring up the heat results quickly while you go do that, Greg. And this is the overall results from race number 1. As confirmed from iRacing there, it is a win for Jared Fieldcell. The blue banner indicates that it is the 86 class. The grey banner next to their name is the MX5. So it was Fieldcell from Casher and Boyd, your top 3. 1.9 seconds in the end covering the top 3. It was a bit of a gap then, a 6-second gap back to Brenton Hobson 4th, Harrison 5th, and then it was Hughes, your top 6. Lockie Bloxham P7, and Damien Siegel will get the inverted 8 pole position, finishing at 8th. We'll start race 2 on pole position. Let's have a quick look at the Class B results. This is how they finished up. It was Andrew Dutch, 11 seconds, the winner over Brody Cook. Jesse Carriage got 3rd with Scott Baker, John Thorne, your top 5. Greg Holmes 6th, and Linus Gordon McGuire and Cuthbertson, your top 10 in the class there. So there you go, good racing. We've got a couple of drivers standing by. Let's have a quick chat first of all to Seeger. Damien, how are you, man? How was that?
It was pretty intense. It was a pretty hard race actually, because of all of the back markers sort of getting caught up there, but managed to find my way to P8, which has made me really nervous actually, because now I'm on pole.
You will sit on pole position, mate. So what's your plan? Are you just going to go, all out here, or are you going to be looking in the mirror and maybe letting a few drivers through? Because I know what I want you to do. I want you just to go all out.
Yeah, I'm just going to send it, man. Let's do it for the broadcast. Let's do it for the team. Let's do it for the world and just send it.
WBT, mate, talk us through what that is and why they sponsor you.
WBT's thanks to Wayne Losh, so he works for the business and they support us, and we carry their label, and proud to do so.
Great looking car, mate, and yeah, like you said, 8th in the race, great finish, but then that invert 8 puts you into the top position, pole position. Is that your first pole in this series?
Yeah, actually it would be, yep.
Right, we'll see if you can get a win. We got Cam with us as well. Cam, how you going, mate?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Very good. How was your race one?
Oh, I had a bit of a shocker actually. I'm struggling to come to grips with the car around here. It's a little bit too loose for me, but we made some progress, but not far enough to challenge the top 10.
We saw you in a few battles out there, mate. You know, and we've heard this reflected a few times tonight about this car being loose or too stiff over the curves. What's making it feel uncomfortable for you, the 86?
It's just a little bit loose on turning for me and under heavy braking. So the rear just wants to come around, and then if you bounce a curb just slightly the wrong way, the rear end just comes around and it catches you out. It's not a progressive spin. It's like a switch, and all of a sudden you're around. So I'm just trying to get my head around that at the moment, and that's just making it a little bit difficult for me to make progress.
Yeah, well, good luck for race 2. You know, eyes forward for, obviously it's going to be a busy one, another half-hour race. Will you try something different strategy-wise?
I'll probably stick with my original plan of trying to run long, but it all just depends on what happens in front. I know some of the guys dove into the pits pretty early in race 1 to see what that would do for their strategy. It just depends on where you are in the battle pack. I tried to stay out of the rain race when there was a couple of MX5s battling really hard, so I didn't want to destroy their race, so I kind of moved out of the way once they all started bunching up. So hopefully I can get clear and have a good run.
Well, good luck for race 2. Mark's joined us as well. Mark Foster, welcome, mate. How are you feeling tonight?
G'day, Luke. How are you, mate?
Good.
Mate, yeah, I had a terrible race, so I was just doing my bit for the broadcast to try and get as many off tracks as possible. Nah, mate, a shocker. I'm not a big fan of this track, and like Cam said, the 86 is a bit squirrely around here, especially on the curb. So I just had a lot of moments with some understeer through turn 1, which put me off track, and had a big crash there. Another understeer at turn 4, and put me to the wall. So at least I didn't take anyone else out though. That was one good thing.
That is a good thing. So yeah, race 2 plans for you. Just push forward, try anything different.
I'll pit straight away, and I'll see how I go. Because where I'm starting in lowly 35th, so I can't get much lower. So I'm just going to pitch straight away, and hopefully there'll be some big crashes, and make my way up to maybe 29th.
And tell us, mate. I haven't had a steering wheel on my rig for probably a couple of years now. I've just been too busy. But is there anything you can change in this car to make it more drivable? Have you got any roll bars or any adjustment at all other than brake bias?
No, brake. I don't think we can even adjust the brake bias actually.
Okay, yeah.
So it's pretty much as is. It's whatever the setup that we're running, which is the same setup for every track this season. So we're just running the one setup for both cars.
Yep.
So it's basically like the actual car itself drives really well, but it's over curbs. It doesn't like the curbs, and it just bounces a lot through some corners. You'll see on the coverage, you'll see the actual car like bouncing, especially through like the last sector through the left-right chicane. As you go across the dirt on the right, it really bounces around, and if you just accelerate at the wrong time, it just spits you off. So it's definitely a handful. The Mazda's much easier to drive, that's for sure.
I really hope at iRacing down the track somewhere. I know in some cars, you can play with brake bias, but I would love to see a series where you could just unlock a few things, so tyre pressures, for example, or just simple things like just like that brake bias, but tyre pressures in particular, like with Formula Ford, that sort of series in the real world where you don't have a lot of options to adjust the car, but those little tweaks that you can make can really deliver some change to the car as well, the way it drives, the feel of the car.
Yeah, and the problem that you've got there for me though is that I'm an absolute numpty when it comes to anything technical with cars. So if you throw anything else at me that I need to start trying to figure out besides my fuel, then I'm in trouble. So I've never really been much to stuff around with car setups, just because I don't really know what I'm doing. So I usually go off BRS or whatever the guys are going off. But look, you can tell, I mean, obviously you've got the fast guys up there and they're doing some incredible lap times, so it is drivable. it's just, you've just really got to put the practice in it and just know what it's going to do when it hits a curb. It's going to bounce, it's going to roll, the body's going to roll. You just got to be ready to try and catch it.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, like I said, I think fixed setup racing is incredible, and it's a real credit to to make a series fun quite often if it is fixed setup, because you don't have to spend hours. But I just think something like tyre pressures, just to be able to adjust that little bit of drivability to suit personal preference is something iRacing could maybe look at in the future. Just for an admin to be able to just unlock a few little things in that full big setup window, which even my mind boggles when I try and think about setting up a car. I've always been one to just, like you say, use a VRS setup or ask someone for help. But yeah, incredible. There's so much to talk about. We've got Damien still with us, mate, and I was just wanting to mention too, I did see Fenton out there on the track. He mentioned in the broadcast booth he was going to get out there and run a few laps because he'd been sitting cold for 25 minutes. Damien, what's your deal in this little break here? Do you like to get out and do a few laps? Because this series is one where I notice not many guys do. A lot of the drivers take the full 10 minutes to do nothing.
I think you might have called it last week, Luke, about the age. I sit at 44 years old now, and I can't hold on to the
bladder?
The toilet breaks, like I used to when I was 21. So I spent a bit of time doing that, grabbing a drink, and then I'll run a couple of laps just to sort of get back into it. But it gets quite hot in this room as well, so it's good just to, I've got a sliding door here, so I'll just sort of step out, grab some fresh air as well, and just sort of reset and come back.
Yeah, need the cool suit, mate. Get the cool suit on.
The cool suit, that's it, and the drink bottle, or one of those hats with the straw, that'd be cool.
That would be cool. Greg's back, mate. What have you been doing? You've been having a quick break, you're laying down the law, a few little things to talk about before this start of this next race?
She's just like you, Luke. She told me not to back out of it.
Okay, all in. like that. Mate, we're just watching Henry Fenton out on the track now. He is putting a few laps in. He's gone P3, but as I was just saying to the other guys, not many out on the track, only 3 to complete a lap time in the warm-up session, which must be ticking down now, only a minute to go. So I myself, I'm going to have a quick break here. I'll let you guys talk if you want. Just give us a minute before we get into race number 2.
No worries.
Greg, actually, just to point you in something to chat about, tell us a bit about the series, mate, how people can get involved, because that is one thing we do get asked.
Okay, so best way, I noticed a few boys have actually been applying for the league directly on iRacing. Guys, if you're out there and you're watching the broadcast, simply jump onto Facebook, just search for Roadster Rumble, jump on our Facebook page, and just send me a message and I'll hook you up and get you involved. It's very hard just to add people straight from the league because we just like to know who it is that's coming into the league. And so if there's anyone out there that really wants to be a part of it, you're more than welcome. But as I say, just do it through the Facebook page. It's easier for us, for the admins. Send me a message and we'll get you sorted and get you out on track, just like the 2 new boys that we've got joining us tonight.
Let's be honest though, mate, 48 cars or whatever it is, you don't want too many more.
No, we have a pretty good roster though. Not everybody can race every week, so always happy to mix it up.
Yeah, it's a big grid of cars. We're about to get set for race number 2 right now, so let's head down and have a look at this grid. Inverted top 8, and we're going to see some excitement, I think, off the start of this one. In fact, as we grid, let's have a quick look at the grid up on your screen, and hopefully we'll get rid of that music. Hopefully our SDK is going to catch up here eventually. I'm going to quickly switch it off and give it a reset. So it's Damien Seeger who will start from the pole position tonight, with Lockie Bloxham starting out of P2. Jared Hughes will start from 3rd on the grid, with Lee Harris in your top 4. 5th on the grid, Brenton Hobson. Jack Boyd alongside him. Here we go, Ryan Casher and Jared Philsell out of 8th position. So it's a super top 8 inverted. 9th will be Aaron Oliver and Matty T to round out your top 10. Dylan Canto from 11th with Ben Schnell. And then Andrew Dutch, big ups to him, starting from 13th on the grid. So we watch out for him. 13th outright, first in class, of course, with the MX-5s, and then it's Brody Cook who will start out of P16. Sorry about that, a bit distracted here by SDK, which is having an absolute fit. So, right, let's get set to go racing here. We'll get the overlay sorted once we're up and underway but it is Damien Seeger. Watch for him off the start here to try and get a good punching run down towards turn 1. Lights up those rear tyres, but gets away pretty well. The rest of the field goes with him. I'm just watching already as Hobson jumps in position. So does Boyd. Lead Harrison got a shocker. He's gone back a couple of positions. We've got a car off the track right at the back. It might have been Fenson who's gone off again, unfortunately. As we head up the hill now, Seeger, Hughes, Blonsom and Hobson, your top 4. More cars off the track. We got one backwards and a huge crash. Huge crash. A couple of cars in the air back further in the pack. And unfortunately, it continues to go on. We've got plenty of damage. A car upside down on fire. At the front, though, on fire is Damien Seeger. And he's trying to pull away here, but Jared Hughes, who jumped a position at the start, is not giving him at all a run for his money. He's pushing super hard off the track almost there. Blocks and P3. He lost a position now as Hughes takes the lead. Good early start there, Anthony. What do you think of that one?
I think they were pretty laid back in the first race, mate. The second race, it's all guns a-blazing. Just go for it.
They're pushing super hard. Yeah, that's right. Just watching Jack Boyd up a position. Brenton Hobson made the 2 at the start. He's all over the back of Seeger now, so he's taking some early scalps as he moves through the field. Phil Sell made up a couple as well, the 6th. Looking back further, Johnny Thorne, who we spoke about in that first race, he was racing with you, Greg. He's already made up 7 off the start. Greg, yourself made up 8 positions into 15th. You're on fire. How's this mid-pack as they move along? We look back to Holmes. Behind him, he's got Baker, Carriage and Keith Logan all together in this little battle. A bit of damage on the back, I think. Scotty Baker's car too. Watch out, Greg. You're going to have your rear gunner set, mate.
I've got really loose at the top of the straight that time, and yeah, it took 3 hands to get it back under control.
Speaking of loose, Baker was just off the track. Harrison's gone off now as well. Lee Harrison has gone into the wall in a big way, and I tell you what, someone else was off with him, as Seeger. It was Seeger at the top of the hill, all out of shape and lost position, and he's dropped back to 12th place. Harrison was the one that has absolutely KO'd the fence, and that could be the end of his race. So we're not sure what happened there. I think it was the old classic run, a little bit wide through turn 1, just get on the grass, and then it's like ice skating towards the wall.
Yeah, by the looks of it, mate, I just caught a glimpse of 2 of them going off there. I didn't really see where Lee ended up, but it must have been a pretty big one. I see Andrew Dutch has got a little bit of damage on the front of his car too, leading in the MX-5s. He's got a little bit of damage on the front right corner of his, yes. So must have had a little bit there at the start as well.
Yeah, I'll just have a quick look, see if we've got anything, any indication the Dutch had a crash. But there was definitely some contact, and unfortunately Golgol's gone off as well. Cameron Edwards and Dylan Canto all involved in opening lap crashes, as well as who else? Wayne Losh went off track, so did Brody Cook and Moz, all taking to the grass on the opening lap. Bailey Wilson, who's a newbie as well, he's gone off the track. Ray Harrison obviously smashed it hard, and I think Bailey's just gone off again, so he's having real trouble in this second race, keeping it pointing in the right direction as we look at Lockie Blonsom. He's 7, Ben Snell all over the back of him.
Yeah, it's a completely different race from race 1. So they're all just gloves off and away we go.
Mate, it's like everyone's just had a Red Bull and a packet of Red Frogs in the 10-minute break. They've come back, all sugared up. It's like my 5-year-old nephew at his birthday party yesterday. I've never seen a kid eat so many lollies. He was hitting the roof for about 5 minutes, well, in fact I should say 5 hours. After that, good luck to my sister controlling that one for the rest of the evening. But these boys are just like that. It's like A and B. It's chalk and cheese, race 1 to race 2 tonight.
Well, I can tell you from racing myself, mate, that once I finish a race, I'll go and have a shower and I'll sit there, and I physically cannot go to sleep for a couple of hours. Like you're all hyped up and want to keep going.
Yeah, mate, the eyes keep spinning. You're still seeing, flickering cars and timing screens in your dreams for hours. That's what I do anyway. I struggle to get to sleep after this. It wakes me right up, but I hate to think how it is for you guys racing. But I'm just watching Lockie. He's down to 11th now, and Damien Seeger started on pole. I don't think he caught the wall. I think he's got away with no damage on the WBT car, but he's running 12th, so he'll be upset with that. It was, a big opportunity to capitalise on an inverted top 8 pole position, and he finds himself all the way back down in 12th place.
Yes, yeah, I'll Mr. Holmes up in P3 at the moment and overtaking Jesse.
Yeah, 3rd in class, looking good. We're looking at Bard Rodkin as well. Emily, hopefully still watching as Bard up 17 spots into 21st. He's flying. Hodges behind him sits in 22nd place. We've got another car off the track. It's Darren Linus backwards into the gravel trap, and the Frog Elite racing car will try and rejoin safely, but that's unlucky for him. He was pushing forward as well. Front end damage, maybe caught the back of another car by that.
Yeah, I probably tied Darren up a bit this afternoon with trying to get my computer back going, so he probably hasn't had as much practice as he probably wanted. So...
Hey, we're just watching Jared Filser here, as I think that's Keith Logan getting out of the way. Keith's out of position there, and the headlights, that's the first time I've seen the headlights flashing there. Ryan Casher on the headlights. I didn't realise the 86s had a nice working high beam, so I wouldn't mind seeing a bit more of that. That's good to see.
We've had the complaints lodged already.
Well, Casher's a bit of a flash expert, is he?
No, a couple of the Mazda boys get a bit irritated with the headlights flashing, but as I point out to them, Luke, means you're looking in your mirror it's where you've been, it's not where you're going.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Do the MX-5s not have the headlights? Is that right?
No, they don't.
There you go. They're stickers like Lightning McQueen. There you go. So, right, Andrew Dutch, we're looking at him now, 11th place. Yeah, like Anthony pointed out, damage on the right-hand front. He's still having a good battle here with the 86s. He's right behind them. Matty T is just in front. Under brakes there. I thought for a second Dutch was going to send it down the inside. He's eyeing off a top 10 here, Andrew Dutch.
There he goes. Oh, he's peeling into the pits.
Oh, he is too. I reckon he feels he's quicker than these cars in front, and he thinks, I'm going to pit now and try and jump.
You are quicker in different places. Like it's different places on the track that the Mazda's actually quite quicker. Like you're coming onto the back straight, you can outdrive the 86. They can't quite catch you down the full straight without a slipstream, but yeah, under brakes they're a bit different, and they've got a lot of mid corner speed, the 86, more than the Mazda's got. Yeah,
that's a good point, and we've seen that already in the tracks leading up to this third round, that they have their highs and their lows, but all in all it evens out to only be about a 1.5 lap speed difference. But Andrew Dutch is driving the wheels off it. I reckon he's got a chance here. If he can pit, get a nice quick stop, get out there and punch in some good laps, and importantly tuck up behind another group of 86s. If he can do that, he might just find himself, 8th, 9th place once this all folds out, and a top 10 in a different class outright is incredible.
That's the best thing to do. Tuck behind the 86 and just use them. Just let them do all the work, and you just follow them.
So yeah, we're looking at Jared Hughes, P1, leading Brenton Hobson. Hobson would love a win here tonight. I think he feels probably he was hard done by in that first race just by that blockage from the lap car. Now he's going to push on. Race 2, he's made up 3 positions in the first 8 minutes here, and he's all over the leader. And importantly, he's got Jared Filsell about 5/10 behind. If he can keep that little buffer, as we see Jack Boyd getting pushed by Cash, and now Casher pulls out of the slipstream through turn 1 side by side. Wow, I'm glad he backed out of that. Casher just sat back a little bit, because he thought about going wheel to wheel. That would have been a huge incident as they come across the top of the hill, and they continue to fight. This top 5 separated by just on 1.7 seconds, so we'll keep an eye on this little battle pack. This is where it's heating up at the moment.
Yeah, it's a nice train. Just the same thing I'd say will happen in the pit stops. When one goes, they'll all go.
And we're looking back to Class B as well. We've now got a train of Class Bs. John Thorne's leading class. Greg Holmes in P2. Greg's in the commentary booth with us. Mate, the gap at the moment is not huge. What's your plan here? Try and get behind him, sneak up and overtake him?
I'm going to wait and see what unfolds this lap. If John stays out, I'll pit. If John pits, I'll stay out.
I do recall race 1, you didn't really want to fight with this man in front of you.
It's not that I don't like racing, but some people like to get the move done, and for me, I set the rules. Obviously, one of the pet hates for me is unnecessary incidents.
Yeah.
I mean, John has improved out of sight the last couple of seasons, but it's for me, it's all about risk and reward. I mean, if I can get an extra 10 points tonight at this track, I was just saying to the boys during the break that, okay, so John's staying out, I'm going in.
Watching your pit entry here, mate. Keep it off the fence. Bit of rear brake there, and nice and conservative as he goes into the pit limiter. If we sorted out that, actually, in fact, let's not talk to him while he pits, because that's quite a bit of a rush time here. We'll go back to the lead. Come back to Greg in a minute. We'll ask him about that pit limiter issue from race 1. But Jared Hughes in front now. This little 5-pack of cars for the lead of this race is starting to just close up again. And I think I'm watching Hobson. He's maintaining a 0.6 of a second gap to Phil Sell. But you got to remember, these two have raced against each other a lot. Brenton Hobson and Jared Philsell. And look at that, straight away they go around the corner and it goes from 5 or 0.6 of a second to Philsell being within a 1/10 of Hobson, and Hobson probably going to lose P2 here if Jared sends it past him down into the chicane at the end of this straightaway. But Greg, mate, as that little incident, I think from race 1 in this series, where you've sped in the pit lane, has that been resolved?
Yeah, it's so the Mazda only has, you can only use the pit limiter in first gear on the little Mazda, unlike the majority of cars on iRacing. It's first gear only,
which I'm sure is to reflect the real world car only being able to use it in first gear.
Yeah, it's just that was my bad. I was so used to running the Toyota at that stage that I forgot that the little Mazda only has first gear for the limiter.
It's like my motorbike, mate. It's only got pit limiter in first gear as well, and I find it very obnoxious, even though I love being obnoxious sometimes. It makes quite a loud noise in first gear if you want to go through a 40 zone or up the main street of town in a 50 zone and hold the pit limiter on the motorbike. I would love to be able to do it in second gear, so only half the crowd turns around and not every single person that hears it coming along going bap, 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 bap. But yeah, first gear only for the motorbikes as well. So interesting, and that caught a few people out. It wasn't just you in round 1 that got caught out in the MX-5.
Yeah, there was quite a few people commented on it, so we resolved that. And I was talking to Moz in the break, and he was saying that he missed his pit box, but also ran out of fuel.
Oh wow!
And the only way he could get back was to actually tow.
Oh, that's annoying when you're in the pits already.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's super frustrating. So
This
yeah.
thing's very loose when you come out of the pits.
Just watching this is an interesting fact that Andrew Dutch came out behind John Thorne. So Andrew Dutch was leading class. He's got a bit of damage on the car, which I'm surprised wasn't fixed. Are we not running any fast repairs in this series?
Yes, he's forgot to turn them on.
There you go. So that's what's happened there. So Dutch has come back out with the same damage he took into the pits. He's come out behind John Thorne. Now that's holding him up a bit. Now Greg, this might be an opportunity for you to squeeze a couple of tenths here into this gap, because I think once everything is washed out here and Carriage, Cuthbertson, Robertson, Maguire all pit, this will still have you in the top 3 for the class.
I'll take that, especially at this track.
It's good, man. So we're just watching this now. This is Greg Holmes on your screen. Mark Foster, good to see him back out there. He's flashing the headlights, so you can see that in your vision mirror, Greg. Have a quick look.
I did. I'll just ignore that.
So yeah, good to see. So Foster making sure he lets Greg Holmes know that he's right there, and then Neville Mell behind him in that Valvoline car, still ahead of Scott Baker. Henry Fenson has made up 14 positions. I know Fenson had a shocker in race 1. He now finds himself sneaking back up inside the 20, or sorry, inside the 30, but heading towards a top 20 finish, and that was his goal. So let's see if he can't get himself right up there with still half the race to go. We're only at 14 minutes, Anthony. You've been a bit quiet. What are you seeing on your screen, mate?
I'm just watching this battle at the front, mate. They're just lap after lap after lap, just into each other. Just the big train.
Incredible lap times. They're knocking off 134s. Hughes is a 134.9, then a 134.6, then a 134.8, then a 134.7. He just rattles off a 134.5 that time around. So the consistency of the top guys is incredible as they go through turn 1. Hobson had a lap car on the inside, managed to navigate it, but how's the consistency of these guys that they can just rattle off those laps?
Yeah, they're just lap after lap and battling with each other, and they don't seem to be holding each other up. They're still just lap after lap, same lap times. It's unbelievable. I wish I could do that.
And I just realised Mark's still with us here. I was giving him a bit of a rap before. Mark, you're doing well, mate. P21 up 14 spots and all over the back of the series organiser. Do you get a bit nervous? Imagine taking him out. He might ban you next week.
I imagine at every race taking him out. No, I'm just trying not to get involved too much. I can see all three of them there, and I'm on 0Xs right now, so I'm kind of just trying to not get too much in the way. And honestly, they're setting good lap times, and this Toyota just doesn't have the pace anyway where it counts to get past them.
The FSA car looks good, mate. Keep on those flashing headlights. Greg loves that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Looking good, mate. 15.5 minutes in. Look at that. Bright high beams on the 86 there as he tucks in P21 behind P20th Greg Holmes. Back at the top, they still haven't stopped here as we hit the halfway point. Race 1, Anthony, it was about 17, 18 minutes into the race, so we expect probably one more lap out of the top guys.
I reckon so, mate. Give him one or two more laps and then see what happens. Like, well, Kasha ran an extra lap last time, didn't he, in that race? So let's see if he does the same thing. What's he running? Fourth at the moment, or fifth at the moment, Kasha.
Kasha's
So
in fifth,
see if he goes in again with them or does an extra lap.
Yeah, they're pushing on. Glenn Boyd, we're watching right now, all over the back of Lockie Bloxham too. Lockie, who's dropped back a bit to 8th place in the race, but Boyd, Lockie, the outside line there. Boyd had a look at the inside. This is making Damien Seeger eyes light up. He's fighting his way back into this, back into 10th. Remember, he ran wide at the start of the race after starting on pole. So if he can finish top 10, that's probably a pretty good recovery, and he'll take that any day of the week.
You will. It's a good result from going that far off track and then coming back on. He's just got to keep a cool head and just pick one off for the time. But he's got some tough people in front of him.
Yeah, we've got Bianca Gordon watching as well, so we'll have a quick look and see where Tyson is at the moment. She just said happy racing, Tyson, and to the rest of the Rumblers. I like that, the Rumblers, calling them that. It's a good little nickname.
Apologies, Mark. I might have missed a gear back there.
That's all right, mate. I've just got to watch out that Nev doesn't take both of us out.
We're having a quick look here at Tyson, just while we're chatting about the 54 car. That's a heck of a good livery on Tyson's car. Taps NT Racing, sitting back in 28th place, so he's got a bit of a quiet gap around him. 7 seconds to Darren Linus in front, 5.3 behind to Harrison, and then Curtis Hodges, who's up 2 spots into 30th. Keep an eye on him shortly, but as soon as you see some movement at the front, let us know, Anthony. I reckon these leaders are going to start piling into the pits any second.
Yeah, they've just gone past the start-finish line now, so they're just at turn 1, so they're heading back around for another lap.
Ben Snell, we're watching now. He's mate, he's got a Bushman beard, bigger than any Bushman's beard I've ever seen.
Oh, it's a monster beard there, Luke.
That is a big beard.
The Ned Kelly of the group.
Yeah. If he wanted to impersonate someone else, just get away with a crime or something, all he'd have to do is stand on his head, and he'd look like he has a black beard and a red afro, I think.
Go down the inside here, Mark. Give you a chance to get away from Nev.
Greg's just going to ease out of the throttle here. Mark's going to go through and hopefully not make a meal of it. Geez, late on the brakes. Mark Foster, but turns it in beautifully and moves himself up into 19th place, 16 spots up. Not the biggest mover and shaker. It's Andrew Roberts up 19 spots into 15th. He's made up the most spots tonight, and also this man, Ant Cuthbertson, in the Stone Cold Racing car, up 19 into the top 10. Yet to stop though, so the top 10 yet to come into the pits. Lockie Bloxham, running 11th, has stopped, and he's right behind Ant Cuthbertson. So having a look at the gap back to him, it's 48 seconds. I'd expect him with a pit stop to probably jump up to 8th place, around where Boyd is right now. And surely this time in, I'm having a look at Hughes. Are they in? Yeah, Hughes is in.
Hughes is in. The 3 have stayed out. Looks like Hobbo.
They also stayed out.
And Boyd.
Yeah, they've all stayed out. So what about Aaron Oliver? He's in. Oh, he's in out of shape as well on the way in. I think Snell went with him. Glenn Boyd into the pits. So they must be thinking right now is the time. But the 3 that stayed out, like you said, Hobson, Philsell and Boyd, 3 very quick competitors. This will be interesting to see what Hughes can do. Can he come back and stay in front of these guys? Because Hobbo right now, he will have seen him peel off. He'll be turning the wick up. And Philsell, don't you worry, he'll go with him.
He will be. He will. And Jack's just going to stick on the back there with him and just copy. It's probably the only thing to do at this point of time. just use them other two boys. Might save a bit of fuel with the double toe there and might jumper, but in the pits.
10 to go, so 10 minutes to go in the race. We're halfway through lap 13. It's Hobson leading Phil Sell, Boyd, Hughes, Kasha. Then Ben Snell, Oliver, Boyd, and Bloxham in your top 9. Damien Seeger in the pits now from 10th. And our top driver that has stopped is Jared Hughes. So just keep an eye on this. It's going to be pit stop frenzy for the top 3. There's Hughes on the back straight away. In fact, no, sorry, just down the bottom of the circuit, isn't he? So he's in a good position here.
He is. Phil Sell and Hobbo are bump drafting the whole back straight.
Okay, so we're going to get the stopwatch ready. This is going to be really tight. Jared Hughes stopped for 9.5 seconds. He did this in race 1. He took about an extra second's worth of fuel than everyone else.
And they're in.
They're in. So the top 3 into the pits. So they're going to be looking for around that 8.5 second stationary. There's a bit of contact sound there.
Oh, did Hobbo hit the wall on the
Someone
way
hit the wall, didn't they? I heard the sound there. There was definitely the noise of concrete. Yeah, look at the front left of Hobbo's car. Big damage. So that's, you know, his 4X that he got in race 1. He's just multiplied that. He's going to be absolutely fuming.
Oh,
there's been a bit of an accident and turn on there.
We're just watching Hughes come through as Phil Sell drops off the jacks, heads to the exit with Hobbo right behind him. This is going to be so close. They head up the hill, so it is Phil Sell leading. Where are the rest of them? They're just in behind as they crest the hill. They've got Keith Logan just in front of them, who's going to have to be really careful here he doesn't impede the leaders. Oh, an MX-5 on the grass, out of shape as well. Phil Sell can't find a way through on Logan. And, well, Logan is going to have the blue flags waving. Phil Sell can see that little lead that he had over not just Hobson, but also Hughes. It's just completely dried up. And Jared Hughes, after the late stop there and taking some extra fuel on board, is now right on the back of this top 2. And a big dive down the inside. Hughes from way back puts a move on Hobbo, and I think he's made it stick. That was incredible.
That was a planned move, but he's been out there for an extra lap, hasn't he? So he's probably got a little bit more tyre heat because they've pitted. So, big wobble from Kasha there before.
Yeah,
too, so.
Huge wobble. But check out this on the replay. It was Jared Hughes. He just lined up Hobbo. For a second, I thought he was out of control and he wasn't going to make the corner, but he just sent it to the inside, and it was perfectly timed. And look at that. Made a beeline for the corner, and bang, job done, P2. Jared Hughes, he's really impressed me since he started racing this series, and he's taken it to the big guns.
He has. It's quite exciting to watch, mate. I haven't missed a race for a very long time. This is my first race I missed for a while, and just watching it is unbelievable. Just the car control of all of them as well.
Andrew Dutch still P1 in class, holding on nicely here. The gap back to Carriage within a second, so for Dutchy, it's probably the closest battle he's had to have for a win tonight. The first one, I think, was 11 seconds from memory.
Has Jesse pitted?
Jesse has, so they're on the same strategy, although they did pit many laps apart. It was lap 4 for Dutch, lap 11 for Carriage, and the P3 in class, which is John Thorne, he stopped on lap 7. A lot more fuel taken on board for the MX-5s compared to the 86s.
Yeah, it's just a slower fill rate, which again I think just mimics the real world.
I think there might be gravity-fed bottles in the real world.
Oh,
Maybe. I'm just pulling something out of the top of my head there, but I think it might be just like Lightly McQueen, you know. Second time I've used that reference tonight. Ka-chow. Phil Sell out in front, half a second. Is he going to run away with this now? I mean, the first race, he made it look a bit harder. He had to really fight towards the end, but this lap really will either make or break, I think, how Hughes goes. We've got a car off the track. It's not Dutch, is it? It is. Andrew Dutch from the lead of Group B has just flung it around. We'll get a replay shortly. And he's in the pits. So that's the end of his race. Dutchy is out from the lead. Can you believe it? Let's have a look at a replay. This is a replay now of the Grindtech floor car. He came up through the S's. And what's going to happen here? Got out of shape and turns around. And did he hit anything? Yeah, into the fence. Backed it into the fence. And I think that was enough to be race over. Can you believe that? Dutchy out. That moves Jesse up into P1 in class. And Greg, sorry Greg, importantly for you, P2, mate. ahead of John Thorne.
John ran wide just before where Dutchy had his little off, and I managed to sneak inside. So
Wow.
I think John's struggling with tyres at the moment.
Well, it's important that you keep your head down now, because P2, that'll be great for the series points as we look at Bard Rodkin still sitting in 35th place, up 3. Emily's still watching, and who else? Adamson John says flashing lights just means it takes them an extra 50 metres to get past. So something like that. YouTube's
In other words, the boys in the Mazda tend to make life that little bit tougher.
as they can. So what do we got? 3 laps to go, I reckon. Lap 16 of 30, but we're going time certain of half an hour, of course. And Phil Sell, he's not walking away. I said for a second he might walk away, but Jared Hughes, I wonder if he can line up another pass like we saw a minute ago on Hobbo, because that was incredible. He's now within range here of Phil Sell. In fact, he's within 1/10 of a second as they cross the stripe. Phil Sell going defensive, and he knows in the background. Here he goes. That big dive down the inside. Gee, he's good at that move, isn't he? He just sends it, and it sticks. Perfect.
Well, that's a wonderful overtake. It slid it straight up in front of him, and away he goes.
Great job, and like I said, he's really impressed me, his driving, and Jared will just sit back for a little bit now. You think he'll probably try and save a lap or a lap and a half here of fuel before he attacks him again. Let's have a look at that replay once more, because it's just the way he gets the slipstream and then he just sends it to the inside. There it was, and bang, job done. The car turns in. Looks like it's got plenty of rear end grip as well, because the back end did not slide at all. It gripped up, and then bang, he's into P1 of this race. Jared Hughes leads.
They're coming on a bit of lap traffic here, so a bit of lap traffic's playing a part in it all as well.
And look behind, Brenton Hobson, he's also now within striking distance. And the lap traffic you're talking about, one of the MX-5s, I think will probably get out of the way, surely, with 5 in fact, 86s roaring down behind you. And here we go. Hobson getting the toe off Phil Sell, gives him a bit of a bump. It was quite a bump there. And wow, Phil Sell, the MX-5 hit the fence, did it? Someone's hit the fence there.
Bard Rodkin, by the looks of it, hit the fence and rolled.
Oh, terrible for Bard, but wow, that was a big hit from Hobbo to try and launch Phil Sell forward. And I think, unfortunately, there was a third party, Bard Rodkin, who got caught up in all of that.
He did.
Stay with this, because I know there's a lot of battles that we missed, but this one at the front is going to be a ripper. As wide goes Kasha, and it's still Hughes holding onto the lead. Nothing in it. Look at Boyd in the background too, now getting involved. Jack Boyd on Kasha. Behind him, Hobson went back to 5th after that little touch-up before. And so now Hobson has all the work to do, because he finds himself now 1.2 off the lead. After being right there challenging with Phil Sell, now he's back in P5. Hughes still leads, and Hughes off the track hits the fence. So Hughes, could that be the end of his race? No, he gets it back on. But Phil Sell somehow manages to avoid the carnage again and holds out a half-second lead. Talk about action-packed.
Oh, it's full on, mate. It's full on. That's just, and they're sideways. They're giving it all. There's nothing left into the driving, mate. They're just flat stick at the moment.
On board with Brenton Hobson looking forward, you can just see he's got a view of the 4 cars in front, but that little gap will concern him now, because we will get the white flag at the end of this lap. 1 to go, and still Jesse Carriage leading the Group B. MX-5s ahead of Greg Holmes, P2, who's holding out John Thorne. It's all or nothing now for Holmes. Don't let him through, Greg. We want to hold on to this P2. And behind that, you've got Fenson, Moz, and then Baker, who's 4th in class, but it's all going to be between Holmes and Thorne for P2 in the 2nd class tonight. But at the front, still nothing in it. Phil Sell back into the lead. White flag drops, 1 to go. It's Phil Sell leading Hughes. Hughes around the outside of turn 1. He holds it there, and up the hill they go side by side. Hang on to it, Hughesy boy. I reckon he just needs to stay with him within a 10th or so, and then send it at the bottom of the hill like he did that other time.
I think that's all he can do, mate. He's only got, that's probably about the only other passing point in the whole track.
And Kasha looks like he's going to hold on for 3rd here. Boyd's there, and then Hobbo. But wow, Phil Sell, he's got a 0.4 of a second gap. That might be enough, I think. But Jared Hughes, he'll throw anything at him. And this is the important part now, this run. down towards the back end of the circuit. He's too far back here as he can't pull off that move again. We've got a spinner in the background, I think. Is it not Jesse Carriage dropping down? No, it's not. Carriage crosses the line, white flag, 1 to go. He's leading class from Holmes and Thorne. First, second, third in the MX-5s, 14th to 16th outright, but it's Jared Filsell at the front, taking it down the back straight away with the lead of 0.6 of a second. I think from here on in, he should hold on to this. It will be the scrap over P3 I'm watching closely between Kasher and Boyd.
Yeah, Boyd's been chucking a lot at him in the last 2 laps, but they've been going sideways. So here he goes. He's going to chuck it down the inside.
And he does. He makes a stick. He'll try and hang it and switch it back, which it does. That perfect configuration, this track. Kasher will just run him a little bit wide. Oh, there's more contact. Is there in the background? They're still making contact as they cross the line to take the check flag. Jared Filsell takes the win, and it's going to be Hughes. Then Kasher edges out Boyd by the narrowest of margins. Incredibly close. Hobson gets 5th, and it's Oliver who gets 6th place. Great job for him. Let's go back and watch the Group B drivers, though, because I'm intrigued to see how this finishes out. It's going to be Jesse Carriage who's going to run it home for a win in class. But Greg, how's he going? He's going to talk us through these last couple of corners. He's got John Thorne behind him. Now, will he go defensive? Will he hold his line? He's already over onto the left-hand side of the track slightly, and Thorne's having a look. What's he going to do? Thorne alongside into this big braking zone.
Hit me.
Oh, there's contact.
No.
There's contact.
Ah,
Oh, Holmes out of control into the fence. Big hit.
John,
The tiniest bit of contact. We'll review that later, but it's going to be John Thorne who's going to sneak across the line for a P2.
Yeah, he's not.
Oh, big drama. It could be a post-race incident there, but what it's going to mean is Fenson goes 15th. Henry Fenson, put your hands together from the back of the field, up 25 spots into the top 15. He said he wanted a top 20. That's a drive and a half for Fenson. And Moz gets 16th. Now Mel gets 17th. Matty T 18th. Third in class, Greg Holmes might get elevated with a post-race penalty, and Anth Cupperson might find himself on the podium. After that one, I'm out of breath. What about you, Anthony? That was a mega finish to a mega race.
Everything was chucked out in that last race. It was full on. It doesn't matter what class it was. They were all battling everywhere.
We'll get some results up, and we'll get some interviews in shortly with all our drivers. But let's have a quick look at the overall results here. It was Jared Filsell, 0.3 of a second in the end, takes the win from Jared Hughes. Incredible job from the mighty Filsell. Jared Hughes P2, Ryan Kasher fought right to the end there with Jack Boyd for P3, and it was Boyd, Hobson, Oliver, Boyd. Bloxham got 8th in the end ahead of Snell, and Damien Seeger did hang on there for a P10 as we look at the Group B results now. And this is how they finished up. It was Jesse Carriage took the win, 5.7 seconds ahead of John Thorne with a post-race penalty hanging over his head. Greg Holmes third, 21 seconds back, stayed ahead of Anth Cupperson, who might find himself elevated into the top 3 as well. Scott Baker 5th, and Tyson Gordon rounding out your top 6. So some mega racing there. Let's head over and see if we can't get some interviews happening shortly here as we wrap up round number 3 of the Roadster Rumble, live from Road Atlanta. And Greg, quickly, just where are we off to after the week off? We get a week break, and then where are we heading after that?
We're at Monza, actually.
Monza.
I'm pretty certain that we're heading to Monza. Yeah, so that'll be an interesting round.
That should be mega.
Yeah. Next week, just in case there's anybody out there watching the broadcast that is sort of half thinking about joining the league, next Monday night, I'm going to run a bit of a fun night, and I've titled it Double Jeopardy Blind Date. So,
sounds interesting.
It will be very interesting, and I think it will be it'll be one of those fun events that will have people tearing their hair out.
Sounds like a couple of 80s game shows combined, mate. Double Jeopardy and Blind, what was it, Blind Date?
Blind Date, yep.
Very good.
Yeah, so hopefully the week after, when we're back on the broadcast, we'll be able to tell you all about it.
Fantastic. Well, let's bring the winner in from race number 2 there, and what a great race it was. Jared, mate, you had your work cut out at the end there. You had to work for it. Hectic racing, man, but once again, you've come through with the goods.
Yeah, that was a cool night of racing, to be honest. Really tough combo with this car and how it's not really that good over curbs. So, yeah, was really interesting to see how it played out. But yeah, I didn't come in after race 1, sorry, but yeah, that was a pretty interesting race. There was a sacrificial lamb out there in the front pack, but then once we sorted that out, then we were able to chase down I can't remember who it was, Ryan, and then yeah, we were able to get past him and pull away. I don't think his pace was that good this week, unfortunately, because normally he's pretty on it.
Yep.
But yeah, race 2 was definitely on. I was trying to save as much fuel as I could there. Yeah, had a few lappers in that second race there, which made things very interesting and tightened the pack up again, and yeah, it was cool.
Mate, it was incredible. And Jared Hughes, you probably saw some of his overtakes tonight, pretty incredible. He would have been one you were a little bit nervous about towards the end.
I don't tend to look at my mirror that much, but I did hear that there was a few spontaneous dive bombs going on. So it's all in good fun. I don't think anyone was crashed as a result of it. So that's good.
Mate, it was nice to watch. So I'm just waiting to see if we've got the other two coming in, Jared Hughes and Ryan Casher. If not, we might just do some thank yous and move on, mate. So Jared, I'll give you a chance to thank your sponsors, mate. The livery looking beautiful again tonight.
Yeah, yep. I'm a big fan of the white livery. Sorry, Hobbo. Yeah, obviously, Jordan and his business, main sponsor for our car tonight, Wave Runner Performance Centre. It's great to have him on board. Not sure if we're going to get a new livery for this year. Hopefully we do. Yeah, that might be in the works. Who knows? But no, obviously all the other guys at Synergy, they do a great job. It's not just myself and Hobbo. All the other guys help out in the background when they can. So yeah, obviously thanks to Greg for his dedicated series that's been going on forever, it seems. Although it's my first season, so that's cool. And thank you for the broadcast as well. It's great as always.
Thanks, Jared. It's great to have you with us, mate, and great to see you on the top. And mate, the class, the level of the driving in this series just continues to grow, and we've got about 6 or 7 drivers right at the top of this one, and then battles right throughout the pack. So quality field. Thanks for your time, mate. Let's go now to I think the top guys from Group B have come to join us. So we've got Jesse, mate. Congratulations on a winning class. Well done.
Yeah, thanks, Luke. That was pretty cool. It's good. Didn't think we were going to get there in the end, but bit of luck swung our way, and happy to take out the win. Got a little bit of chance to battle with Dutchy for a little bit there, so really stoked about that. Yeah,
and Dutchy unfortunately in the end put it off the racetrack and was looking good all night, but doesn't finish with any sort of prize to take home. But you got to be there to win it, and mate, you've driven incredibly well. You're there in race 1, and race 2 you've taken the highest honour for your class. So well done, 777 on the top.
Beautiful. Thanks, Luke. Cheers.
Right, and we'll come back to you shortly for some thank yous, but we'll go to John. Mate, controversial final end to the lap there. What were your thoughts on it? And we've got Greg in the house as well to have a quick chat about it.
Yeah, look, first, thanks to Greg. Race 1, really good battle all the way. And look, I thought in race 2, we were pretty close again. He caught up behind me, and I had Dutch and him pull into the pits a few laps earlier. But I thought, look, it's hammer time, get a few laps ahead, and then I was surprised to see Jesse bounce out in front of me, right at my front bumper bar. But yeah, look, Greg, good racing, and yeah, got to be in it to win it.
Fantastic. And then right at the end there, was it net code or a little bit of contact? We're just watching a replay now, slow-mo. We get the above shot. What were your, from the driver's seat, it can be sometimes a little bit different. What was your feeling on that braking incident?
Well, I thought, look, I had I kind of hung out to the last lap. I thought, look, I've got the run on him on the outside. Stuck it all the way around the outside and just held my line down into the very last turn. Where, look, I thought, look, outbrake Greg, and I believe he might have made contact with the back of the car. But look, it's, yeah, kudos to him. Good racing, otherwise, really good.
Fantastic. And then P3 in class for the Class B. Greg, well done, man. Right up there, some hard racing throughout tonight's broadcast.
Yeah, a little bit unlucky in the last race. I was on 0x for both races, but as I say, that's racing. I'll hand it over to the stewards and let them adjudicate on it. I feel that coming down into there, if you're going to take the inside line, the driver on the outside doesn't have to give you room. I mean, he had a car's width, is the way I sort of look at it, and to move across to try and take the corner and make contact with the front corner of my car. I'll put it to the stewards anyway. I won't adjudicate on it. I'll let the race stewards deal with it. But all in all, it was a good night, Luke. I really enjoyed it. As I said, I was looking for the bonus points, and got down to pretty much the second last corner, and I didn't manage to pull it off. But never mind. On to next week.
That's it. Ripper Night Racing. Jesse, who would you like to thank, mate? P1 in Class B tonight for the MX5s.
Lock Mechanical, all the admin team, and Racestars TV putting it on. And a big shout out to the viewers, mate. That's what we're all here for. So thanks for everybody for looking in tonight.
Excellent work, mate. And then John, P2, who would you like to thank?
Oh, just the guys that put on this event every week. This is season 8 for me, and finally starting to find some pace. The guys that do it, Greg and all the admin team, are great. Awesome racing.
Fantastic. And finally, we wrap it up tonight. Greg, who would you like to thank, man?
Big shout out to Simworx for sponsoring the Toyota 86s this season. Also to the Woolbundry Hotel, who have jumped on board and sponsoring the Mazdas. So thanks to them. Also all our other sponsors, Palmer's, WBT, all the guys, they know who they are. Lock Mechanical have jumped back on board, which is fantastic. So without these guys, obviously, it's very difficult to run a league of this size, so really appreciate everything they do to help us out.
Fantastic, mate. So a week off next week, but there is some racing still happening. We'll join you back in a fortnight's time for Monza for round number 4. Looking forward to it. As always, the Roadster Rumble on a Monday night, something to look forward to after work, and incredible racing again tonight. This series just continues to impress. So thanks, Greg. Thanks to all the team, and we'll see you. And thanks, Anthony, too, for joining me tonight in the commentary box. Did a great job, mate.
Not a problem. Thank you very much.
I also forgot, Luke, thanks to you, mate. Without you, the league wouldn't survive. The amount of people that keep saying to me, hey, how do we get race stars to do our league? And they get met with cricket, so I'm not giving anybody the secrets.
Oh, that's all right, mate. Like I said, I got a full roster. That's all right. So all good. I'm very happy with just doing the 3 series I'm doing right now. So I can give a quick plug to tomorrow night. We've got F3A kicking off their brand new season 12, so Formula 3 racing. If you're keen on that, tune in 8 o'clock tomorrow night. And the Pro Invitational Series qualifying round on Wednesday night will be 3 nights in a row, and that's me then retired for the rest of the week till we come back with the Roadster Rumble a fortnight later. So thanks, boys. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.
Bye.
Well, that's it from me, folks. Until next time, I'll see you on the other side. Racestars TV. Make sure you give us a like and a follow over on Facebook, YouTube as well. RSTVAU, our new YouTube channel. We'll try and get some content up on there and keep it growing. We'll try and get back. I think we had 1,000 subscribers before we were deleted last time, unfortunately. But we are trying to build it back up again. So please give us a like and a subscribe on YouTube. I'll see you tomorrow night for F3A, kicking off at 8 o'clock. Till then, good night.